Thomas Piketty, with his book Capital in the 21st Century, really kind of delved into it. I haven't read all of it. I've read bits of it and summaries of it, but and since then there have been lots of speeches along those lines, including Rupert Murdoch's speech to the G20 earlier this month.
But you don't think that the rationale a lot of people are attributing to this is correct?
Oh, well, I mean, everyone's on about it as being a consequence of quantitative easing and low interest rates increasing the value of assets, which is obviously has occurred and has clearly worsened inequality. What I'm saying is inequality began in the 1980s with Reaganomics and in particular the cutting of the top marginal tax rate from 70% down to 28% over the course of that period. And I think I'd say in a broader sense, having a middle class is not the natural state of affairs in either capitalism or socialism. The natural state of affairs in most human economic societies is for there to be a rich elite and lots of poor. Middle class, in the sweep of history, middle classes have not existed. The middle class is a consequence, arguably a consequence of the New Deal in the 1930s, which raised taxes and actually redistributed income deliberately, consciously. They set about redistributing income. And in a way, Reaganism, Reaganomics and Thatcherism in the 80s was a reaction to that, a reversal of the New Deal of 50 years before. And we're in danger now of that 50-year period of having a middle class as being a historical aberration, an anomaly in history. The middle class is being destroyed once again.
I can see that as something that would upset a lot of people. I mean, is there any chance of this trend being reversed? I mean, are you optimistic about things changing?
Well, at least everyone's talking about it. That's a good start. Unfortunately, I think they're probably talking about the wrong thing. I think a lot of it is about taxation. However, the right wing, of the Republican Party, the Liberals here and so on, are totally against increased taxation and size of government increasing. They're against governments borrowing in order to spend on infrastructure. So therefore, we get toll roads instead of government building them. Arguably that's okay because tolls are a tax. So it's a form of tax. Unfortunately, it costs much more when you get the private sector to do it. And anyway, look. Yeah, we're getting a lot of tolls, right? We're getting a lot of hypothecated taxes, and they're in a way that's taxing. But the trouble is that they're not. The good thing about income tax is that it's progressive, taxes rich people more. Have moved towards indirect taxes, GSTs, road tolls, as being the replacement of income taxes, and they tax everyone the same.
It does seem like any time, in Australia at least, that people try to approach a more progressive system of taxing, it does get shouted down quite quickly. I mean, this would suggest that things are going to kind of stay the way they are for a little while at least.
Look, unfortunately, the New Deal occurred as a result of the Great Depression, right? So there was an impetus for that, for a political impetus coming out of the fact that unemployment went to 25%. So they had to do something. It was a shocking economic disaster. I mean, one hopes that we don't need that again in order for that to happen. Again, for the same sort of impetus to occur, for the middle class to once again be empowered and enriched as they were then. But look, as I say, at least everyone's talking about it. At some point, QE is actually going to stop this month. This is the last month of quantitative easing. Interest rates will go up at some point. So that side of things, at least, will change. But there continues to be, a huge amount of downward pressure on top marginal income tax rates, and I think that's where ultimately the answer lies.
And just finally, I mean, you did suggest that the Great Depression was what put this in place originally. Is a problem now that the middle class that we have is too comfortable, that there is really no need, there's no reason for people to be crying out for change because people have it pretty good right now, so why would they ask for anything different?
I'm not sure that's right. I think the middle class doesn't have it really good. I think the middle class is under enormous pressure. The middle class is working all hours. Both partners in the relationship are working. They're all struggling.
But is this conversation being had by the middle class? I mean, isn't the whole Piketty thing really being discussed by economics and people who are really across that rather than the people who it's affecting the most?
Oh yeah, look, I guess it's true that the middle class is not rising up, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
That's true, but look, I mean, the poor are the ones who are suffering, really. The middle class and the poor are definitely suffering. At some point they'll rise up. Maybe that's where the answer lies. Look, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. I mean, what the crisis of 2008 simply resulted in a massive bailout of the investment banks of more than $1 trillion, you know, like, and that was funded by taxpayers. So, like, that crisis didn't result in you know, a new kind of empowerment of middle classes. It really, that's all that happened. And taxes weren't put up to pay for that. Anyway,
it's a complicated situation, but we'll leave it there. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Eric.